Hi, I'm Dale Adams, the Planning Head of Time, and today I'm speaking with Louise. Louise, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, Deb. Thank you very much for asking me to come on and talk with you today. I'm Louise Fenton, and I run Coffin Club in Margaret's memory. And I started Coffin Club um, in Margaret's memory after my mum, Margaret, died. Um, so I found that at the time that my mum died, it was very sudden and unexpected, and I knew nothing about death and dying. Certainly not how to sit with someone who's dying. And then, as a family, we were very unfortunate. We had issues with our funeral director and with the hospital as well, just before she died. So, yeah, it just made me think, how could I perhaps have done it better? Or if it happened again, what would I do differently? So I
Yeah.
started to research these really important subjects and then wondered why would I keep that to myself. So that's kind of how it all started, was yeah, finding knowledge for myself and then choosing to share that with other people.
Yeah, I think it's often the circumstances that we go through ourselves that make us want to help other people to make sure that they don't go through the same thing, or at least they have more knowledge than we do. So I can totally understand why you've taken that route. Very similar to myself, really, in that sense. So you then became part of Coffin Club, which is a national organisation.
It is, yeah. Coffin Club started in New Zealand, actually. Um, in New Zealand, it started with sort of the older generations, um, in a nutshell, being fed up of being ripped off by funeral directors. So they started to have a club and make their own coffins and decorating them as they wanted to. There's quite an entertaining YouTube video with that they've made in sort of a cabaret style, where they talk about this lady always wanted to go with Elvis, so her coffin's covered in Elvis pictures, and then she uses that as a seat or a coffee table until it's time to use it for its actual purpose as a coffin. And you can make your own coffin, or you could make your own shroud. So there's in answer to your sort of original question, there's 17 coffin clubs across the UK now, and all operate slightly differently. But the main point of Coffin Club is to empower people to know what choices they have around their end of life wishes, and particularly their funeral wishes, because there's so much that I didn't know personally, and now I do, and I want to share that with people, in that you can purchase your own coffin. You don't have to go through a funeral director to do that. You can make your coffin as personal as you want. You might choose wine labels and put those all over there, or you might choose photographs and put those onto your coffin, so people aren't afraid to approach it and talk about you and celebrate the life that you had and talk about your memories and that sort of thing. And recently I also did a shroud making workshop, and that was made from recycled materials, and we used natural leaves to print fabrics to go on top of it. Really, really beautiful, meaningful sort of vessel for you to be buried or cremated in. You can use a shroud for cremation as well if you chose to do so, and you can do that with your family. There's certain coffin makers you can go and weave. I think you've met the lovely cows
Yes.
from I forget the name of her business now, but
Yeah.
yeah, so you can be invited to go along and weave a coffin, and that's very good for the grieving process, to slow down and take some time and go back to nature, and to be able to do that either before you die with your family, or before you die you could do that for yourself. So yeah, there's lots of things that people don't know about, really, that certainly in relation to coffins. Yeah.
But of course, I actually came to one of your coffin clubs. That's how we first met. And
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, when I say to people, "Oh, I'm going to a death cafe," or or obviously the Coffin Club at the time, they automatically assume it's going to be a really morbid, very uncomfortable hour spent, and it really isn't. It's actually, it's nice to be in the environment with other people who can talk to you and also understand what you're going through. But it's really quite upbeat, isn't it? It's informational and educational, but there's really sort of a twist of fun, certainly in the coffin clubs, more so than with death cafes. But I do think that you do try and bring that into the sessions, don't you?
Absolutely. I mean, we have certainly with the Coffin Club that we run in Stourbridge in my mum's name, in Margaret's memory, is we do have a conversation at the start which sort of explains to people, you know, we don't know you and we don't know your grief journey. We don't know what today might bring up for you, and you probably might not know either. But there is on our website, there's a welfare button, and we encourage people to use that if something comes up for them. So through the welfare button, you'll find sort of different organisations who are professionals in what they do, and you know, there'll be a whole host, like ataloss.org, there's a link to that, and the Good Grief Trust, there's a link to that. So they're national organisations that people feed into, and they do such a good job at it. I was like, well, I'm not going to duplicate that on my website. We're volunteers in what we do. They are professionals at it, and it's just about signposting people to the support that's available to them afterwards. But yeah, it's human nature to have a laugh and a smile about things, and it's really important to say that, you know, it's okay to be happy again after somebody has died. And when somebody first said that to me, I thought they were bonkers. I'm absolutely bonkers. I was absolutely convinced I would never be happy again, but actually I am. And you know, that for me, my grief is completely like a roller coaster, you know. But I'd rather like the Irish saying of the sadness is on me, you know, because I know that that sadness will lift, and it will come again, and that's all okay. You know, that's all okay.
And it's nice, I think, to do things in honour of other people. Again, this is a Pat chat because my mom's name was Pat, and planning ahead of time has come from the fact that during the time of her illness and the run up to her death, I was going to coffin clubs and I was doing an end of life facilitators training, and I was doing courses to actually just educate myself around anything to do with death, dying, loss, grief, what that looks like. But it still doesn't prepare you for when you actually have to sit at somebody's bedside through those dying days. And I think having some additional support through other people going through the same, because coming to the coffin club, it's not necessarily something you do also when you're grieving. It's partly that, but you can go at any time, can't you, and just find out about death and dying, even if it's not you going through that process. A bit like with me at that point, I wanted that information to try and help me with what I was going through with my mum.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, certainly my mission statement, if you want to say that, or our mission statement, is we invite people to learn one new thing about these really sensitive subjects, you know, death, dying, grief, loss, change. They don't just have to be around a death. You know, people can grieve for a job that they have lost, or a relationship, you know, divorce. They're massive life-changing events that nobody really wants to talk about, and then it's very difficult then to manage and to know what to do, because nobody talks about it. You know, people will ask you, what do you want to do when you finish school? What do you want to do when you get married? How many children do you want? What do you want to go to university? No one says, how do you want to die if you have a choice? Where would you like to be? Who do you want around you? Who do you not want around you? Because there might be people that think they have a right to come to see you when you're dying, but you might not want that. And the more that you can write these things down and tell people that need to know, this planning ahead of time, you know, an advance statement is not legally binding, but it's so important. Even if you, I don't know, if I had a accident tomorrow, my advance statement will say, if I end up in a nursing home and I can't get out of bed, then please don't put me next to the TV room. I don't like noise. I don't like noise. I don't like strip lights. I'd like to be by a window. You know, even when my next door neighbour died, her family, I saw them afterwards and they said, you know, when she went into the nursing home, we went to see her, they got her wearing trousers. And she never wore trousers. And they were really upset by that. But you know, with hindsight, it's like, well, did you tell them? How would they know? So unless you do this document, and that's all it has to be, just jot down, you know, I would like my pets to come and visit me. I love the warmth, the snuggles, my pets to be with me. Some people might be allergic to pets, they don't want them there. So, you know, it's really important to let your wishes be known, all about your holistics, really. So your wishes to be known and make sure that people know what your wishes are. Yeah.
I absolutely agree. I think, well, with my mum, I've got two small dogs and we actually took them into the hospital. And I've got photos of them on the bed in the week when she was, if you like, in her end of life stages, because I wanted the pets and the dogs to understand why she wasn't coming back. Because again, for them, it's suddenly somebody was just out of their life who'd been extremely important in their life. Other people may not understand that, but for me, and I felt for my mum, it was actually important to have them have the opportunity to say goodbye. But we didn't know if that's what she would want. This was me believing that's what she would want, because at the time we didn't have everything written down. And I think now conversations in my home and family flow so much better because I instigate them a lot of the time. When you see something you like, say, oh yeah, I'd like that, make sure it's noted, the things that you don't like. And coming to coffin clubs or even the death cafes or anything that actually educates people around death and dying, end of life especially, where you've got to be cared for and you want to know you want people to know what you would like. I think it's really important. And also, again, I still advocate for these things being done while somebody is healthy, so that they get that knowledge then, because it's very different making those decisions when you're healthy and you see a long future than it is making them when you've had a terminal diagnosis and you know your life is, you know, has a very short time frame on it.
Yeah, completely. And you know, we talk at Coffin Club about once you've got those things written down, then you can get on with living. You know, you're not worrying about it. It's just, and it's a gift. I really believe it's a gift for your family to have that information and that knowledge. Because when someone is actively dying, even if that's a natural active death, or someone dies, you have got enough going on that, you know, wouldn't it be great if you could just say, oh, there's the folder, this is what their wishes were. And even if it's just one thing that you know that somebody might like for their funeral, that research has shown that just that one thing can really help that grieving person, because they go, well, I know they wanted this, you know. And I think that's a great gift that you can leave for the people that need to know, is what your wishes would have been, or even what you absolutely don't want as well, just as important.
I agree completely with you. Obviously, we're both advocating for the same things, but I do agree with you. I think it really makes a difference to the people that are left behind and who are dealing with everything. It's a gift of love, I believe, and I say that, and you've just said the same of it being a gift, and I think it is. I'm working with a client at the moment who's just been bereaved, and when I got there the other day, she already knew what. She'd contacted the funeral director. She knew exactly who she was going to. She knows what they want as a family. She knows what the plan is. And you could sort of feel that comfort when she
Yeah.
spoke about it, because the focus was solely on the grieving at that time. And okay, plans have got to be organized and put in place, but they're already ready.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one less thing to think about at a time when you are not thinking straight. I would certainly, from my own experience, I was not thinking straight at that time. And yeah, I think going forward, it's going to be a great gift to leave for other people. So, within Coffin Club, really, for us, anything that opens these conversations kind of goes. Were in the Coffin Club that we run at Stourbridge. And you came to the end of life planning one, didn't you? And we were so fortunate that we're supported by the lovely Dr. Becky Willits came along, didn't she? So she did about the do not resuscitate forms and things. And we had a lawyer come along as well, didn't we? Local lawyer, James came along. And then I talked about the holistics. So, hopefully that was a really educational session for people. And I think it's important that from a Coffin Club point of view as well, what we do is we try to have our events where they're accessible for people. So, in Stourbridge, we have them in the local park. So there's car parking there. You can go on the bus, you can walk there. Presently, we do them every second Saturday of the month. We're looking, perhaps next year we might do something different. We'll have done that for a year. Although that's inclusive, it's also sometimes not inclusive, because if, little Johnny's got football on a Saturday, but mum would like to come, then he's part of a team and you can't just pull him out from that team. So perhaps next year we'll look at doing perhaps shorter events or different events at different times, death cafes in a pub maybe, or in an evening, that sort of thing. But certainly for this year, we've got a range of events going on the second Saturday of every month. So we've got Death Cafe. The next one actually next month is I didn't know that. Ideas for planning your own funeral. So, we'll be bringing up about the shroud and the coffins and that sort of thing there. We've also got a local coffin maker is coming, and they're called the Coffin Boffins, and they do a short history of coffins from Egyptian times through to now. Personally, I'd love like the scouts to come, or the guides, it's an educational platform really for all ages. Yeah, so we've got quite a lot of we're doing a pet bereavement one as well later in the year. There's a whole list of our events are on our Eventbrite and also on our website as well.
And you said earlier about going to the funeral directors and people don't know what they should and shouldn't have done. But because I'd been to various events to learn about end of life and had been training in it, when I went to the funeral directors for my mum, I sat there and they said, right, okay, here's the coffins. I said, oh, no, I've already ordered that. And they were like, right, okay, we normally do that. I said, oh, I didn't know, I've done it. And then they said, right, and here's the brochure of the flowers. And I said, I already know who's doing those. I've already organized that. And so as they were going through this, I was like, oh, I've done that and I've done that. So I didn't know. I was the other way around. I just assumed that, well, we organized it. We made those decisions. So we organized it. And when I got there, I'd basically done the things that they wanted to do. And to the point that I actually did the order of service and everything.
With that event with I didn't know that ideas for planning your own funeral, things like using flowers from your own garden, beautiful. And tackling funeral poverty is one of the things that's really important to us. You don't have to spend a fortune. You can use flowers from your own garden. You could use a shroud, as we said, that can be homemade, or you can purchase those as well. Cardboard coffin, we've got a couple of example cardboard coffins that you can decorate up yourself. There's a wonderful gentleman in Wales who makes the most amazing coffins from recycled pallets. They're just beautiful. You don't have to have flowers. You could have I know Coffin Club, Kate and Kate have done one where they've put walking boots on the top of a coffin. We're very fortunate. We have a local florist that sourced some vintage football boots for a gentleman who loved football, and then put the flowers into the vintage football boots. You know, completely unique, and perfect for that person. You know, other things like traveling to the funeral, you could hire a minibus, and depends what you're doing afterwards. If you're going out for a drink, you don't have to worry about driving. You certainly wouldn't have to worry about parking, and you could all have a chat and a reminisce in that minibus about your person. So there's, you know, lots of innovative things really that you can do that don't cost the earth.
Yeah, so with the flowers for my mum, I'd seen on the end of lifers group somebody who'd created bouquets out of the main coffin top, and that's what we did. So the coffin top had actually got 6 bouquets made into it, and then the centerpiece. So during the service, we had the memorial service afterwards. We actually took the bouquets out and gave them out to people, and then we still had a centerpiece. So like I say, you can, if you're aware of what's available, you can make it really quite unique, and that's just lovely. So everything that you're doing to educate people in that sense is fantastic. So let's make sure people know how to get hold of you or to join one of your events. So where do they go to get the information for you?
Okay, so we've got social media, we've got Facebook, we've got Instagram, and we have a not very easy to remember email address, which is coffinclubinmargaretsmemory@outlook.com. And we also have our website, which is www.coffinclubinmargaretsmemory.co.uk, and on there there's also an events button, so you can click through, find our events. There's advice on what to do after death, etc. And I do need to update that actually, because our last event that we had last weekend was facilitated by Claire and Leanne, the lovely staff at our local crematorium, which is Westerly Group Crematorium at Wasteley Hills. And they talked me through how to fill out the information if you want to organise your own cremation as well. So I don't know if you know, but you don't actually have to use a funeral director. There is no legal obligation that you have to do that. So I'll be updating the website with that information soon as well. Massive thanks to Claire and Leanne. And thank you to you, Dale, today as well, for giving me the opportunity to talk about Coffin Club in Margaret's memory. Thank you.
No, it's been lovely to speak with you, Louise. I'm sure we'll speak again, or we'll meet at another event. But thank you very much for your time, and I'll speak to you again soon.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Dale. Thank you.
Bye.